Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome to the Ascendance Season 8 Heroes Awaken finale. Tonight, Scott and Corey face our 7 jury members, where they will plead their case as to why they should win. So Scott, because you did win the final Superhero Showdown competition, you will choose the order for opening and closing speeches tonight. So who will be starting the opening speeches?
I'll start.
All right. So everyone stay on mute. Scott, I will show you when you have 5 minutes left and so on. I already explained that. And whenever you start talking, I will start your time.
All right. Hi, everyone. Before I begin, I would be remiss to not say a big thank you to the team, Matthew, Nicole, Duke, and AJ. This has been an amazing experience for me. The care and attention you put into this org is phenomenal, and I'm very excited to be joining the Ascendance community, Ascendance alumni community soon. In the spirit of superheroes, I thought I would start a little bit with my origin story. So you know this is my second org I've ever played. My first org I played was this summer. I played a Blood versus Water season with my brother. And going into that game, I was super excited because I love Survivor, I love strategy and all of that. And I didn't realize how much my instinct of disappointing people and letting them down was going to eat me alive the entire season. Despite all of that, I still tried to play a very strategic game and got to the final four, where I was given a decision of bringing someone to the end who I think I had the easiest chance to beat and possibly winning that game, or bringing my closest ally in that game, which was Brian. And I ended up bringing Brian to the end, and I lost. I still had an amazing experience, but I did tell myself that if I was ever going to play again, I needed to play a little bit differently because I got a lot of perspective after that game. I realized it's a game. Not everything can be personal. You can't let you beat yourself up the entire time. And also, probably the two people I betrayed hardest in that game were Nicole and Papa. And those are the people I probably talked to the most after that experience. So coming into this game, I wasn't sure if I was ever going to do another org again, but I decided to play Ascendance. The two things I told myself, one is have more fun. And I had a lot of fun with you all. I loved staying up way past my bedtime to play games with you late into the night. I had a lot of great conversations with you and had a lot of deep stories that we've shared. And I hope to continue that beyond this game. Please know that I've never had an ill word to say about any of you on a personal level. And every decision I made in this game was based on my next goal, which was to play to win this time. I really just told myself that I need to figure out what is my path to make it to the end of this game and to feel like I have the winning argument for why I'm the winner of this org. So what does that look like in Ascendance? I think Ascendance is a game that is extremely variable, where, with everything always changing, one bad team draw can be the reason why you lose the game. So I wanted to create my own luck and have a lot of agency in this game. So I would be able to kind of control the direction of the game in a way that led me to that North Star of sitting here and being able to say, I feel confident that I played the strongest game. I would say the strategy kind of took 3 different pieces. The first I want to talk about and expand on is building different relationships across the game. I think pretty early on, there was kind of the 2 sides that kind of formed in this game. I'll call one side the Isaiah side because I've seen as like the head of that side with Riley and Amanda. That was the perception of the house, so to speak. On that Isaiah side, I felt like I actually had a lot of good connections. Of course, I came in with my connection with Brian. I knew Corey, so those are the 2 people I knew coming into the game. Despite Corey, I think I came after them 3 times in the last org we did. We still had a connection that we were able to build on. I also formed really good connections with Emma, Isaiah, and Antoinette. I know a lot of y'all knew Antoinette was probably one of my closest allies in this game. But I also realized I was not at the top of that alliance. I knew there was a 4-person chat of Brian, Emma, and Isaiah that I was added to later. And in thinking about that, I actually used that to my advantage. I wanted people to see that I was at the top of that alliance, because if the other side wanted to go after that side, I would not be the name that was going to come up. There was also another relationship I developed pretty early on, and that was with Riley. So Riley and I feel like we really clicked the first time we were on together. And I was able to expand on that relationship to build an alliance with him and Amanda. That's one that I think for some reasons did not pan for as long as the other alliances I made, but I was able to utilize that relationship. And I think that helped me kind of keep my name off of that side, especially because there were people like Zach and Kira, who I never was on a team with at that point, and I wasn't sure if they would want me out because we didn't have a great game connection just by the nature of how teams were selected. After the Melissa vote, I also realized there was a middle nebulous group where I think we were kind of pegged on one side or the other, but there were people who I had really good connections with that I thought we could play it pretty nimbly. And that was with Jodalee, Jordan, and Travis. I had good personal connections with them. And I also realized that as we talked, we had good connections with each other. So I was able to kind of say, hey, how do you feel about these people? And everyone felt good about it. So that's where we formed our own alliance as well, called Good Fortune. So I was able to set myself up pretty early in the game to have multiple different alliances on all different sides of the house. And this, I think, prevented me from ever being a name that I think was going to ever get traction, and despite how the teams ever. So that's kind of the first big piece I did. The next thing I did, I think pretty effectively, was building trust. So what does that look like for me? I told a lot of people information around the game and my own strategy in the game. What I did not do was tell people what you told me in confidence, because I knew that in order to effectively be part of different alliances, if you told me something in one group and I leaked that, my whole game was going to fall apart. So there were things that Scott and this alliance knew, and then my alter ego in the other alliance did not know that. I had to keep that separately because that information was always leaked. I not want to be pegged to someone who was leaking information. So some examples of game information I shared. I realized just from looking at the past wikis that there was always a half idol. So I realized that, oh, Batman and Robin, that's a half idol each. And I told Amanda and Riley about that, not knowing they were next challenge and get those advantages, but I was able to at least understand where that information was going. All around that Antoinette was going, I did know she was in danger and I knew she was leaving that round. I tried to use some soft influence to change the direction, but that didn't end up working. But what I did do that round was still vote for Zach. And I knew that I wanted to prove I was a loyal ally. And also at that point, Zach and I just hadn't really connected on a game level. And I actually think I used that to my benefit a lot because people always thought I was coming after Zach. And I was able to give Zach as a name. And if you knew that Zach was my name, you knew I was not the name that you were. Everyone else knew that your name was not the name I was going to be putting out there. And I also realized that when people didn't actually give any name or who they wanted out, they were seen as these unknown variables that people wanted to target. And the last thing I think I did really well was collect information and use it really wisely. So at pretty much every point in the game, I knew all of the advantages, where they were, who had them, when they were, or how they got played. I knew about every single vote in this game, besides one, which was Riley's last change to Emma. That was a big blindside for me. I knew when people were bringing up my name. I knew when people had different side connections, when people were making other final twos. And I used all this information to play a very flexible game because my roadmap to the end was always kind of changing depending on what I was learning and how the game was unfolding. I think the biggest instance of this coming to fruition was at that triple elimination, where I knew at that point, my best shot at getting towards the end was putting myself in a final 5, where I was still in the middle, guaranteeing myself a spot in the final 3. And I felt that everyone in that final 5 had a chance at bringing me to that final 2. So I used the entirety of that triple elimination and made some pretty big moves to make sure I was putting myself in a really good position in the game. And that was all informed and acted upon by the information I continually collected, and people still entrusted with me because I never leaked that information outwards. So what does this all mean? It means I did play that flexible game. It does mean I wrote some checks that I wasn't able to end up cashing. I didn't always know the direction of this game or where I was going to do. Because I didn't, as the game evolved, that always kind of influenced how I was going to proceed. I did keep an open mind to that. I was always kind of flexible to put myself in a position to end up here with someone who I think I played a very different game than, and I feel like maybe I could speak to my strengths a lot more openly. It also means that I got blood on my hands a lot more. I voted for all 7 of you the round you went out. I think Corey only had to vote for 2 of you the round you went out. Yeah, objectively, I feel like every single vote was the best vote for me at that time. And if you have questions as to why I made that decision, I'm super happy to answer that. But the votes I made were never personal. They were never based on who I had connections with, friendships, because these friendships I learned exist outside of the game. I cannot be making emotional decisions again if I want to sit here and say that I should be the winner of the game. So I hope you all understand that it was never personal. It really was just me trying to say, how am I setting myself up for success? And by having influence in every single vote in this, pretty much every single vote in this game, I do think I set myself up in a very good position for tonight. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone. I hope to answer some of your questions soon. And yeah, good luck, Corey.
Alrighty. So up next we have Corey. Corey, whenever you start talking, your 10 minutes will start.
Hi, everyone. I also do want to thank you to the whole Proud team. This was an amazing experience. Met so many amazing people. Loved this org. I also want to preface that I did write this whole big ass long speech on my phone, so I will be looking at it, but I am addressing you. I am being genuine. I just want to, when I get nervous, I ramble, and I want to make sure my thoughts and my game is concise and clear so you guys can all hear it. But I will be looking at my phone reading this because I want to get my points across and not miss anything. So just letting you all know that. All right. Hi, jurors. I want to shed light on my game for you all and prove to you that I am deserving of winning this game. I came into this game wanting to focus on my social game first and foremost. My social game allowed me to be the last person in this game to receive a vote against me, and it wasn't until the final 5. In 40 days, my name has only been written down at 1 elimination. I also excelled at challenges when I needed to, winning 3 challenges a season, which is the same as Scott. I also helped my squads win several squad standoffs and avoided having to attend eliminations. I think we often think of challenge strength is equal to challenge wins as like individuals as the determining factor, but I also performed well in the squad challenges, which kept me from having to go to a lot of the eliminations, and it also guaranteed my safety. And when I was on those different squads, I was able to strengthen bonds with people on those squads since it always switched up. My performance in competitions was consistently strong, and I always fought to win, and I do believe that determination is also a testament to my physical gameplay. In the beginning, I had positioned myself very well. I created the Rowdy Rough Boys, which was the alliance of myself, Scott, and Brian, as well as becoming a close ally to Isaiah and having a final 2 pretty early on and building a really good relationship with Isaiah. This also allowed me to create other small groups with Zach, Riley, Emma, Antoinette, Steve, Danny, and Kira. And at that point in the beginning of the game, by all accounts, I had ensured my safety from many different angles for the squad portion of the game with those alliances. And also by creating strong bonds with players one-on-one with Amanda, Travis, people I wasn't in specific groups with. It's not always beneficial to be in a bunch of little small alliances. So I wanted to always focus on my one-on-one relationships and made sure I had one with every single one of you. And I believe I did that. If I didn't, you can cuss me out in a second, I guess. But oh, where was I? I lost my spot. I also made sure I created bonds with people who may have had closer bonds with those I wasn't working with. AKA me being so close with Scott, I got information from Travis and Jordan, who I talked to, but I wasn't necessarily working with. So that allowed me to have information from the side and the people that I wasn't working with. The strategy allowed me to receive information from the entire game, because these allies would come back to me and tell me game information, and they would also protect me and make me aware if my name ever came up, and they would make sure that if I was the name, that name changed. I always knew who was going and voted the correct way in the eliminations I went to, with the same as Scott, the exception, the only time I didn't know who was leaving was when Riley pulled that idol out and blindsided my BFF, Emma. Love you, Emma, if you're watching. But then Riley trusted me and Brian enough to tell us about his idol. So I still had an idea. I knew Riley wasn't going, and I had confirmed with Riley, like, hey, I'm voting you, but you're staying. Like it wasn't a backstab because we had previously talked about it. But I will say that Emma leaving was a turning point in my game because I did have a final 3 with Isaiah and Emma. And it was the first time someone I was factoring into my end game long term was taken out of the game. However, Amanda leaving opened the door for me to be closer as an ally to Riley now that his number 1 ally was gone. And I knew we had already created a good bond, so we could become closer and he may need me in his game more as a strong player who would shield me, but also not backstab me, at least for a while, you know? I had talked to everyone and made sure after Emma had left, after all that the future targets were going to be Travis or Rory. That was kind of the consensus because they were the strongest challenge performers in the game. I also made sure that game rivalries such as Scott and Zach, which were both my allies, continued to want each other out by telling both that they were saying each other's names because they were. I wasn't lying. I was just, hey, they want you out. And them wanting each other out helped me because they both needed my vote. And if it came down to Scott and Zach in the final 5, they would turn on each other and I could pick which way I wanted to go. Making myself an ally for people that they would either want to trust me and need me there, or they would at least need my vote, so I wasn't going to be the name written down. Also, right after Emma left, I became a lot closer to Jodalie, and we agreed that both of us positioning ourselves in the middle was the best because Jodie was getting information from Travis, Jordan, and Scott, because Scott was with them, even though Scott already gave me information. And I was exchanging information with Jodie, and we were able to have a really strong bond and speak openly together. At Final 10, we went to a joint tribal, and I knew a few people went in with the intentions of voting out Zach, but Zach and I had grown even more close and created a Final 2. I wanted to keep him safe while also taking out one of the biggest targets in the game, Rory. I pushed his name for the majority of the day, and when Rory gave a heartfelt plea to the voters to stay, it seemed like people might have been swayed to vote out Zach, but I scrambled and reassured people to think with their heads and to vote out a challenge threat instead of an ally that I needed in this game. Um, uh, where the fuck was I? Oh. Live night is where things got really, really tricky for me because I had to finally start cutting the social ties in the social web that I created from the very beginning of the game. In the first elimination, I set my sights on Jordan to attempt to break up the trio of Travis, Jodie, and Jordan. Although they all three separately denied being together, it had become clear that they were going to be hard to divide. Zach rallied votes to save himself, but after I was informed that the votes we needed weren't there, I knew he was going. I stayed loyal and voted with him because I had no reason to hide my intentions of splitting up a clear trio that I wasn't working with. That didn't hurt my game. And then after that, I won my third immunity during the final 7, and I knew I had to ensure Isaiah's safety as sidekick because even if I wasn't going to be a target, Isaiah probably would have been a target, and I think that's why the vote flipped to Brian. This was the perfect opportunity to take out Travis or Jordan, and while all did not go according to plan, sorry Travis, I did want you out that round, I think, but love you. Uh, Brian did pull out his idol, and then I sat in the final 6 with a final 3 of Scott, me, and Brian, and my final 2 with Isaiah, making it me in the final 6 with 4 out of 6 people who were on my side and were not going to vote me out. My name came up, but my social connections made the target lock on Isaiah that round because it was between me and Isaiah going, and because of my connections with Scott, Isaiah became the vote. When the vote tied, I had to make the hardest decision of my game so far and vote out Isaiah to avoid going to Rocks, where only myself and Brian would be eligible to go home. I knew that if I wanted to stay, I had to let Isaiah go. While this was a big hit to me personally, I did not let it deter my focus to make it here. I now sat in the final 5 with an unbreakable alliance of 3, and only Travis and Jodie stood in the way of the rowdy rough boys making it all the way. They had both wanted to target me in hopes Scott would be more loyal to them. I received my first votes to eliminate in the entire game at the final 5 elimination, but I was able to vote out Travis and then followed by Jodie the next round without breaking any promises and taking out a physical threat and a social threat. Scott and I briefly discussed who we would want to take to the end and agreed we love Brian, but his charisma may be too difficult to beat if either of us sat next to him at the end. When I won the part 2 immunity, Scott and I solidified we'd be sitting here together no matter who won part 3. My connections in this game allowed me to always be aware of what was happening or what would happen at the vote while almost never being a target and keeping my hands clean. In turn, this allowed me to manage the jury because I positioned myself to where my friends and allies would want me there or need my vote to survive in the game. I was the silent threat throughout the game and proved that my physical ability and social strategy. I won comps when I needed to and never needed a power or idol to ensure my safety. I ensured my own safety with my gameplay. And I'm really happy to answer any questions you guys have. I'm sorry I was like reading off my phone, but yeah. Love you all.
Alrighty, we will now move on to the jury question portion of the finale. We will go one at a time from first juror until juror number 7. So with that, Riley, you have 5 minutes. You could ask away, just statements, whatever you want.
Awesome. Okay, congrats both of you. Can't say I'm shocked at this, but whatever. So let's start with a little game. Can both of you close your eyes? Because I'm gonna ask a question. If you feel like you did that, then I want you to raise your hand. So the first one will be, I played the best strategic game of the season. Okay, hands down. I play the best social game of the season. Okay, hands down. And I think I will get Riley's vote tonight. Okay, hands down. Awesome, eyes open. So, I'll go to Corey first. This is just a quick question. Name one of the biggest moves that you did by yourself. That's my only question for you. Name something that you came up solely by yourself.
I do think that the Rory vote was, it's hard to say that anyone did anything by themselves, but the Rory vote was easily going to be a vote against Zach. Scott was not involved in any of that. And I knew Rory had to go. I had tried to target Rory previously, and there was finally votes there, and I had connections enough with Jodely and other people that were voting that they all agreed that Rory was the best to go, because there was whispers about, Travis, but Travis obviously was untouchable for a while. So, Rory was also just as big of a threat. And I rallied those votes. Yes, Zach and I did that together. I'm not going to take sole responsibility for like, oh, that's my move. But I think that's the biggest thing I did, and went to people and said, Zach can go whenever. We need to get Rory out, all of this. Like, not offending you, Zach, but like, I just mean, it was a very, Zach already had a target on his back, and people were, Rory seemed more well connected. And I pushed for Rory to go to protect my ally and to protect Zach and to help myself, because I wanted to win more competitions. And if Rory was there, not gonna happen, especially if Rory and Travis were both in Final 9. We all would have been fucked. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Scott,
Hey.
fancy seeing you here.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a hard time deciphering your game, mainly because I think you played a really good game. I'm not going to deny that. What I'm disappointed with you is how much you talked about your first game, saying how I was so loyal, I'm going to do that again. Like, I don't have a bad bone in my body. But yet you still blew smoke up so many people's asses and hurt those bridges. And it's probably could cost you the game tonight with how much you unnecessarily had to lie to people in order for them to go home. So I just want you to explain that side for you.
Yeah, I do think there's a disconnect between Scott as the person and Scott as the player. I gave myself permission to play, and I know that's probably my biggest mistake in this game. With the promises I made, I only came in knowing Brian and Corey and I didn't have the best working relationship. So I did feel like in this game, you did need to make a lot of different connections. When I say I told people I was going to work with them, I didn't know which alliance I was actually going to the end with. I wasn't committed to bringing Corey and Brian to the final 3 if that wasn't the best move for me. So I do think I had to kind of make different moves in this game. I also know, for example, with you, Rory, or that's my social game, with you, Riley, weeks later, with you, Riley, when you were going home, I still had to lie about you going home, because I knew that you knew that I was friends with Brian and Corey. And if you knew you were going home, you were going to put up a fight that week. And I was worried that information that I was friends with Brian and Corey would leak. So I think because of the position I put myself in, which gave me agency, I realized at some points I did have to lie. I also heard a lot of people say, this is only a game. We understand that, this is people, we're trying to just play a game here. So I feel like that kind of got in my head and said, yes, we all understand this is a game. And it was never personal. Every single move I made was just based on strategy and being selfish. And I think we all wanted to be selfish and get to the end and win. So I understand that feelings are hurt. And I also hope that you understand it was never a decision based on relationships. It was just based on what can I do to get myself to the end. I do know that Corey doesn't have a lot of blood on their hands, but they also came in knowing 6 different people. They were able to use those relationships they already had to their advantage as well. I didn't have that and I couldn't play that game.
Okay. I have no other questions. Thank you. Pray for you. Good luck.
Thank you, Riley.
Alrighty, up next we have Zach. Zach, your 5 minutes starts when you start talking.
Thank you, Papa. Hello, Scott. Hello, Corey. Scott, I can't say that it was supposed to be me with Corey, not you. I had the final 2 with them. No, but Corey, I don't really have much for you tonight, but a big thank you for all that you did for me in this game. The saving me while I was at work for the Rory vote, I cannot thank you enough for that. And all the other times you gave me a heads up that I should probably stop talking and probably learn how to play the game as long as I've been doing this. Scott, my real only words to you are, after you voted for me once and I voted for you once, you said that we never have to vote for each other again. I said that sounded like a deal. You voted me 2 rounds later. I'm going to keep my end of the deal and not vote for you tonight, just a heads up, which I think is more than you ever gave me. So that is where I sit with that. I wish you two the best of luck and a great rest of your time tonight.
Alrighty. Up next, we have Jordan. Jordan, your 5 minutes starts when you start talking.
Okay, hey guys, congratulations both of you too. So let's see, my first question will go to Corey. So Corey, you and I never really talked all that much. I would say maybe I was the one person in the entire cast that you didn't really talk to at all, really. And one thing that I always really rubbed me the wrong way was when you came to my DM saying like, what's going on? I have no idea what's going on. What do we do? Like, I have no idea what's going on. And I'd be like, you have no idea what's going on. And it's like, was that just your strategy to just tell me that you had no idea what was going on? You just didn't want to tell me anything? Like, what was up with that?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's true that we didn't talk at all. We did go on several phone calls, and I feel like we got along really well on a personal level. And I hope there's no hard feelings. I don't think we ever really clicked as allies or game-wise. I think it never happened. And then when it was time to, it was too little too late. There was no time for us to actually work together by the time. That was part of my strategy, pretending like I didn't know what was going on, because I wanted to know what people would say. I wanted to know if they would lie to my face. I wanted to know if they would tell me what was going on, what they were actually doing, because people could tell me something, and I could also tell every time I talked to you, you were very hesitant and you never really gave up any information, and that's fine. You had no reason to trust me. It was just, I never really knew where you stood. And so it was kind of my attempt to just be like, where is Jordan's head at? I think he's with Travis and Jodely. But then when you came to me and be like, oh, I'd be willing to vote Travis out at some point. He is a big threat. I know that. Like I was like, okay, so maybe there's some leverage here. Maybe he could vote with me to like, at least I got a big target, and then he'll come for me the next week. But like, maybe we can vote together for a round. And then after you all went for Brian, I knew there's no, you guys were solid, and we all had our solid things. So yeah, sorry.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you're good. Okay. And then my next question, if you can answer in like 30 seconds, because I do have a question for Scott as well. So I would, so in the jury phase, when we were talking, there was a lot of talk about how you probably went up to somebody and basically asked them, what do we do? You know, like, what should we do? Here's the information. And you would tell this person, even though this person already knew that information like 3 rounds beforehand, you probably know who this person is. He's wearing a lovely crown tonight, like royalty. So tell me why that's false. Tell me why you just didn't play the head of the dragon game, if you know who I'm talking about.
Me?
Yeah, you. Like, so basically, I'm just gonna go straight to it then. Isaiah, right? Like, I'm just saying you probably went to Isaiah a lot, asking him what to do. Like, what should we do, Isaiah? Like, what should we do? So that, in my eyes, because I didn't really play with you all that much, like alongside you this game. So from my perspective, it basically, yeah. So I wanna give you the opportunity to tell me like why I'm wrong. Like, and by all means, like, let me know if I'm wrong. Like,
I personally, from my perception of the game, I am not Isaiah's sheep. Me and Isaiah went on calls. We shared information. We talked a lot. Isaiah played a different game than me. He was more socially connected than myself. He was dipping his hands in a lot of honeypots, and I was dipping my hands in some honeypots. But it benefited us both. And for me, that was a working relationship. But I think Isaiah had a better relationship with you. You could view it as he's the head of the dragon and I'm the little follower. But I don't believe that to be true, because we did make decisions and discussions together.
Cool. Okay, cool. And thanks for answering that. Thanks, Corey. Appreciate it. All right, Scott, definitely love you outside the game. So I'm just gonna talk about the game player, Scott. Some of us felt like you probably played, so you definitely gave a lot of people promises that you weren't able to keep, obviously. You made a lot of final twos, you made a lot of deals. And I get that it's a game, you want to do that, but some of us feel that maybe you did it too hard. Like, you know, you really promised the world to some of us, right? And then like we're gonna feel a type of way when you vote each other out. And it's like when we were in that good fortune chat, you like, over and over said, I want this four to be the final four. I want us four to like really be, like to the end and with you guys 100%. And it's like you vote us all out, like, what I mean, before voting out people like Corey and Brian, which, obviously now I know you were aligned with them, but it's like, why do, like, basically I'm asking you, and you were also, another side note too, saying that you were playing a loyal game, like you weren't going to play your brother's game, right? Like you are not going to be disloyal at all. You're not that kind of person, and yet you still did that. So I guess I want to like basically ask you, was it all worth it? And yeah, like, just explain yourself. Like you said one thing that you were not going to play that game, and yet you did. So just basically own your game right now and tell me why you did that.
Yeah. So my game was loyal. Like I wanted to be loyal to people, but loyalty was to how can I get to the end and win. And I with that in mind, I didn't have a finalized game plan. I was using information all the time. When I made a final two with Travis, for example, I thought that I could possibly win against Travis. I realized everyone thought I was in his pocket and he was the biggest threat in the game. With you, Jordan, I wanted to go farther with you, but I heard you had a lot of other final twos and that information was coming to me, which made me very nervous. With Jodely, I had, sorry, I'm at time, I think.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Okay, wrap it up, please. Anyway, just as the game evolved and I learned more information, that had to make me change my plans. It wasn't that I was committed to a final two at any point, but rather just figuring out how to incorporate new information to change my.
So you would never commit to one person officially, like all the way through. You were just basically trying to see like how the game was playing out.
I think
because
I was committed to someone last time and I ended up going that all the way to the end and I lost. I wanted to learn from my mistakes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Appreciate it, you guys. All right. Good luck, both of you too. Congratulations again. Final two.
Thank you, Jordan.
All righty. Up next, we have Isaiah. Isaiah, your 5 minutes starts when you start talking.
Hey, what's up, Final Two?
Isaiah.
What's poppin'? After I went home, I guess this is going to end up being the Final Two, which is fine. It's cool. It's whatever. Okay. My whole game was all about ownership and owning up to what you've done and moves you've made. And so being Heroes Awaken, I'm going to start this off with a quote that says, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. This is from the Dark Knight film in 2008. Now, my question to both of you guys is, do you feel like you were the hero, villain, or anti-hero of your story this season, and why? Starting with Scott.
Yeah, I when we answered this question in the interviews, and I thought I was going to play the hero because I know that's naturally more of where my heart lies as a person. But in this game, I played a much more selfish game. And I think that does make me a lot more villainous than I would originally want to be. Once again, though, I just want to be clear that like everything I was doing was based on a roadmap of how do I get to the end and play a strong game. It wasn't based on who do I dislike, who's my friends. I never said anything bad about anyone. So I don't think I'm villainous in that regard, but I do think I played a game where I realized, yeah, I definitely could not. I wrote out more checks than I was able to cash. I didn't know which checks I would have to bounce, but it really was kind of a process that I was continually evaluating throughout the game. Anti-hero, I guess. I don't know if I fully understand the definition of anti-hero sometimes, and I always get them mixed up, but I guess somewhere in that gray area. Yeah.
Bet. How about you, Corey?
I think I also want to say I'm an anti-hero because, I mean, the checks I wrote I could cash, I feel like. And I am a fiercely loyal player. I loyal to a fault has always been my problem in games. And I came in saying I'm going to be selfish, but I'm going to focus on my game, but I'm still going to be that loyal person to the people I commit myself to. And I feel like I was successful at that. And I didn't have to backstab or lie as much. Either or, I don't, I respect my game. I'm happy with win or lose, that I feel like I maintained myself and who I am. And I think Game Corey and Corey London Fogg were pretty much the same person this season. And we all lie. It's part of the game. We lie when you have to. I did. But when I gave you my loyalty and when I said, I got you, I had you. And I didn't turn my back on people unless it was to save my own ass. And Isaiah, I also do want to, haven't been able to talk to you for like a week and a half. I'm so sorry. I adore you. I couldn't go to Rocks. I was not going to go out on Rocks. I'm so sorry. I had to. I'm so sorry. That's, yeah.
No, I understand. Yeah, I do what you do. I knew I was going on a day anyway, so it was fine. So what can I say before I end up my time? I made a promise to myself that whoever got me out will automatically get my vote. So that goes to Scott. But then I have the Watsons to my Sherlock Holmes and Corey. So my
I
vote
voted you
is still
out.
up in the air right now. But if you guys answer these next couple of questions to the fullest extent, then y'all might be cashing this trophy. So congratulations to both of you guys. And this wraps up my time.
Thank you, Isaiah.
Alrighty. Up next, we have Travis. The final three jurors will get 6 minutes because the last two times have been like cut short. So
Okay, that's weird because I came in with a plan of what I wanted to say, but I think you both had like really good opening speeches, and I'm like flustered and I don't really know what I want to say now. So I kind of have a game in mind, but first I just want to like touch on something. And so like Scott, like you mentioned like you had all these alliances, and I think that was your biggest, was like it was great and like it works, but I think it was also like the biggest flaw in your game was that like you just had too many alliances and you just played the middle like I think too much. And I think like maybe a different combination of you and maybe like other people at the end, and maybe it doesn't work. No offense to Corey at all. And just like I don't know if it works as well in a final two situation. But so something like that you actually said that wasn't, I thought was like the greatest thing, but wasn't to me actually. You said it to Jodely, who then told me after Jodely got voted out. And you said like, well, you kept telling me, you were like, I don't want to lose to Brian again. I don't want to lose to Brian again. So then you told Jodely like, oh, I realized Travis was my Brian. And like, if you had just told me that, like, at Final Five, I would have been like, mad respect, like, fucking vote me out, like, whatever, it's all good. Like, I totally get it. But that's okay. Like, I'm not bitter. Everything's fine. So I just want to play a game. So we'll go back and forth. And I just want you to say the first thing that pops in your mind, like something you learned about that juror, like just whether it's like what their job is or just a fun fact, like just the first thing that pops in your mind, and we'll alternate. So it's like not everyone's first one time, but
Just
okay.
one word.
Just like whatever comes to your head, just like what they do for a living, or just like they watch this show all the time, like just the first thing that pops in your head. All right, so we'll go in order. So Riley, so Scott, go first. Riley.
Sure. Riley and I bonded early about I live in Australia. He lives in Australia. We talked about Queensland. We talked about RuPaul's Drag Race. I know his name is not Rory. I'm so sorry. I love you. We had a lot of funny connections. A funny person who is quirky, loves to drink with me and dance and have a good time.
Okay, and Corey.
He gave me a house tour. It's beautiful. It's huge. It's stunning. She got the pool. She got the deck. She got the everything. She's decked out.
All right, so now Corey, go first for Zach.
Take it to the max, TJ Maxx, honey. Take it to the max.
All right, now Scott.
Zach and my brother butted heads in another game, and Zach gave me a really fair chance, and I think we bonded a lot. And Zach and I had fun. Also, big drinker. That's my first thing I think of because we had a lot of fun drinking. We had a lot of fun drinking times. My bottle of wine is over there. I will drink with you after this all ends.
Okay, now Scott, go first for Jordan.
Jordan, loveliest human with the nicest eyes. Let me compliment you. Jordan, there's actually something I'm thinking about with Jordan. I don't want to like broadcast right now fully because it was a personal conversation I had that I really appreciated with Jordan. But yeah, a lot of love for you.
Corey.
Oh, Jordan's the trade of the season. And he knows it. And also that conversation that also might have been personal about, I hope you're back in the game, honey. Yes.
All right, now Corey, go first for Isaiah.
A king. There was a bomb that went off, and she conquered. She conquered this Tennessee Southern queen.
All right, Scott.
I think of boldness, hilariousness, whatever the word is for that, and just true, genuine fun. I also called Isaiah the Nick Wilson of the season because I knew they were making little chats with everyone, but I still felt special when we had our chat and we had the name and all that. So I knew your game, but I loved it and I appreciated you for it.
All right, we'll skip me because yeah.
Bachelor.
So Scott, go first for Jodely.
Jodely, the thing that means the most to me is Jodely talking about their intentions for coming into this game and what they learned from it. So we had a great conversation about that before the vote. So just Jodely has the purest heart and word I'm thinking of is fan favorite because I saw the poll today on Facebook.
Come on, fan favorite.
Yes. And Corey.
I adore Jodie. Jodie is the brightest light, the good morning messages. I think we can all agree Jodie is just the most genuine, nicest fucking human that was in this game. One of maybe that I've met ever. Just an amazing human overall.
And then Brian for Corey.
Me? Oh. I hope you, oh my God. I hope you got that job on the set. I love you and your hair and your TikToks. And I'm so glad we became closer this season. You look very, very hot tonight, sir.
All right, and Scott.
It's hard for me. I joked about this with Corey. I can't talk about Brian without it sounding like I have a crush on him. Charismatic, wonderful, funny, just everything. And he's the only person I follow on TikTok, speaking of TikToks, because I just made one just to follow his funny things. But I mean, Brian's one of my best friends and also hopefully understanding and, gets everything. We'll talk soon. We'll talk in 6 minutes or whatever it is. But yeah, I love Brian to the moon and back.
All right, well, that's all I got for you. Seriously, I thought both of your opening speeches were like excellent. I'm excited to hear the closing speeches. But great game, guys. It was a lot of fun.
Alrighty, up next we have Miss Jodie Tan.
Hi, I'm Jodie, 19 years old from Canada. Hi, guys. Oh my God, look at the two of you. I just want to say for the both of you, just take a second and bask in this moment, no matter what happens, because the both of you are killers, but in the best way possible. But I'm here to be a serious juror, so I'm going to interrogate. So here we go. We're going to do this alphabetically. So Corey Meyer, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. That's not my question. Throughout this competition, when I came here at first to the jury, in my mind, I will say, especially looking at the final three, I was like, oh boy, was the story that I was just, was I just duped by this final three that knew each other pregame the whole time? And I will say, it wasn't necessarily the round table that knocked me off of it. It was hearing how much effort you were giving throughout that knocked me off of that, for sure. But I had my question. Oh, I mean, in a positive way. I believe it now. But my question now is still hearing how you accumulated allies through the energies and the vibes and all that. I did want to know who did you not have a relationship with, but coming into this game that you feel you worked with the best? I mean, not that I know everyone that you know outside of this game, so I don't know. But
the other thing I do want to just say briefly is that I did not come in here with pre-game alliances. I didn't know everyone. Everyone's my best friend. This wasn't an easy ride for me. The people that I knew, me and Zach, we had a good relationship, but didn't leave perception so well. Scott and Brian were against me. It wasn't like I had things handed to me. I just want to say that. I chose to do a clean slate and go, also, I didn't know Isaiah. It's Isaiah. The person that I really do think, Riley probably. I did not know Riley coming into this, and I clicked with Riley so quickly off the bat. We worked well together. We could talk game together. Whether Riley really wanted me to go far with him or not, I don't know. I'm sure he can tell me later, but I trusted him a lot, and I feel like that also led me into, I had played with Amanda before, and I thought Amanda was going to want to get me out, but me and Amanda ended up becoming really good friends. She voted me out first in the game, and I was like, fuck this, I'm getting her out. And then I talked to her, and I was like, love this bitch. So it's just, I've played a lot of orgs, so it's inevitable that I'm going to see some faces that I've seen around or played with before. And I hope that's not a fault to my game, because I think I navigated very well. And I don't know if did that answer your question? I'm sorry.
Yes, it did. Although, just to follow up, Riley checked Zoom PMs just to confirm. But good luck tonight, Corey, and really congratulations.
Thank you.
Great, Scott. Earl Grey, how are you?
Hi, how are you,
Italy? I'm not gonna lie, I've been telling the whole jury that I probably wouldn't enter in here with a question for you. And I think I have like a question, but I think it's overall inconsequential to how I'm going to vote. So I'm just going to ask that, and then good. I asked that, and then I'll have like a statement or so probably. So ultimately, now that we're here, did you ever intend on cutting Brian before the final three?
Yes, so basically, I guess maybe it also helped to kind of structure some of the alliances I made was that, of course, I came in with a really good bond with Brian. And that was something I would not be able to not use to my advantage. I had to obviously manage that very well, but I think something I wouldn't just discard. That being said, I didn't want to come here to the end and say I only played a game with people I knew beforehand. So I played a very different game. So I knew that at some point, if I had to cut Brian, and that made the most sense for me, that would be probably the path I would need to go down if I really wanted to win the game this time, and not finish, come up short right at the end. Going into the live night with the final 8, I knew that it would be best for me to go in with Brian and Corey. And then on the other side, probably Jodie and Travis, because I thought that Jordan would be more likely to be kind of the person that would work with Brian and Corey. And I knew that Corey maybe would want to make a move against me at some point, because I know they had a lot of other connections. And at that point, at the final 5, I knew that Jodie, when you won, were voted most likely to win the game. And Travis is probably everyone thought Travis was my Brian, so to speak. I knew that it made sense to go with Brian and Corey towards the end there. So I was open. I played this game much more openly because I knew I needed to play it more openly this time. So I was not married to bringing anyone to the end this time.
Okay, statement time.
Yeah.
Scott, I'm going to take your hands.
Hands, yep.
Throughout my time in the jury, looking back at the story of the season, because I do feel like I got to know you as a whole a little bit more than Corey, looking at the decisions that were made, I do think in my mind, I was like, oh my goodness, this was going to be brilliant. But the one thing that I was hung up on was I didn't know if you planned it that way. And when I entered the jury, what was on my mind was the one thing I feel like I didn't get from Scott was confidence, which is kind of a tall order. I don't want to be like, be confident now. But I think for the rest of the night, which there's only one other question and one other closing statement, but I would like you to show that this is, I think we all know how much you want it. What I would like to know is that you did strategize, you did lie, you did manipulate and do all these things. I would like you to show that you're not running away from that. And if it was intentional, then it was planned that way. I think that's what I want. Good luck to the both of you. I love you. I'm sorry I didn't Facebook friend you before finale. Expected later tonight. Good luck.
Alrighty, and finally we have Brian.
Much like a trough of water, well, well, well. I am so happy to see the both of you here. I am beyond thankful to have played with you both. As a man who loves superheroes, I am so glad to have played in this season that is based around them, much like my friend Isaiah. And so for me, my question to both of you very quickly is, what were both of your superpowers this season? I would like to start with Corey.
Ooh, superpowers. I said it in my opening speech, and I want to say it again. I want to say invisibility, because I feel like I was the invisible threat this season. I think a lot of people trusted me. A lot of people may have picked me as a floater or not doing much in this game, but I really was. And I think it's a testament that I didn't get a vote till Final 5. I think it's a testament that a lot of people trusted me, and I was able to fly under the radar, not be targeted, and people wanted to tell me information. Because I wasn't fake, I was genuine, and I think invisibility is definitely the best one for that. Under the radar maybe, but like also under the radar, people don't win competitions and immunities. That's not the definition. A floater doesn't win things and do well in competitions. So why don't people want to come for me? Because there was always somebody that was a bigger target than me, and I made sure of that. And invisibility.
Cool. I'll go next. I think mine, I would be like Elasti-Boy, like the Elastigirl from Incredibles, but male. And I feel like I played a very flexible game. There were times where I didn't want to have, the game go a certain way. One big example is Antoinette. I knew Travis and Jodie and Zach and Kira wanted her out that round. I tried to push the direction somewhere else. I knew it wasn't happening. And I knew that, okay, I need to use this as an opportunity instead to say I'm not fully connected to any side of the house and build a relationship with Jodie and Travis there. And that was one example of letting someone go instead of saying, here's my idol, or let me steal someone's vote and then just expose my game. I had to play a very flexible game. And I think that's something I've kind of done throughout this entire game is as I learned more information, as I learned people were making other final twos, as I was learning if anyone put my name out there, I actually kind of was expecting more people to target me. So maybe that's why I ended up having people say they feel more betrayed by me because I did have to come for them first, but I was playing a flexible game as I learned more information and wasn't stuck on any one roadmap. I had to, and I feel like because of the way I set myself up in this game, I had a lot of agency to be that flexible. So I feel like I played a very flexible game.
Awesome. Amazing. Corey, I think you played a fucking fantastic game. I'm so immensely proud of you and I love and adore you as a human being. And I'm so beyond thankful that amidst the craziness of the last time that we played, that this time we got to play it so closely. And the fact that you're here, I love it. And I am so satisfied with getting third, knowing that you're sitting there. And with that being said, Scott, my last question is for you.
Yeah.
Final five we called. You had just won the competition, and you basically had the opportunity to either go with Travis and Jodie or me and Corey. And you said, hey, you're taking me, right? Like person to person, you're taking me, right? And I said, yes, of course. I did this the first time. I would do it again in a heartbeat. And you said, same here. No matter what, I would do that too. My final question, I just want a number. What day, from the first second that we came into this, knowing that we were going to get to the end, to day 41 or so, when you wrote my name down, did you know that you weren't taking me to the end?
Yeah, I don't know the day numbers exactly, but it was when I thought that I can take either you or Corey, when I knew it was clear that that was a path I can take. And that I think taking Corey was going to give me more of a chance of success to winning. So I guess that was when we got to like the final five. I wasn't sure which was the best way to navigate. I was very worried that you and Corey were possibly going to team up and go after me at that the final three. But I think at that point, as much as I knew I wanted to bring you, I just felt like I would lose to you again based on how good you are with the jury. So once I knew that there was I was going to be given the opportunity, it was definitely either you or Corey that I could take. I knew at that point I would have to take Corey this time. But if it was you versus someone else that was a bigger threat, I would have taken you, right? It was just at that point, Corey, I felt like was the person I had more chance of success against.
All right. Well, the last time we played this game it was a few months ago. On day 2, the first call I had in a game, I hopped on a call with Scott. This was an Annihilation. I said, hey, screw this partner quiz. You and I are partners. We're going to make it to the end of this. We did. I won. And coming into this, about a half a second into this, I knew that I wanted to do the same thing again. And I think one of the reasons people think that you didn't win Annihilation is because you didn't vote out your brother. About halfway through this game, we had a really intense call to where I was like, you're my brother. You said, you're my brother, man. At final 3, you voted out your brother and you did the thing that you didn't do the last time you played. And I am so happy and proud of you for it. My vote is for Scott tonight, and I hope you all are too.
Love you.
Alrighty, with that, the jury questions is now complete. We will move on to closing statements. Because Scott went first in opening statements, he will go last in closing statements. So Corey, you have 7 minutes whenever you start talking.
Okay, so I did actually write something on my phone for this, but I don't really want to do that again. I want to look at you guys and address you. I feel like I said a lot of the things that I needed to say. I think I touched on this earlier, but I've played a lot of games in the past, and my biggest fault has always been being loyal to a fault to my allies and putting their games and our friendship outside of the game above me wanting to win. And I came into this saying, I'm not going to get too emotional. I can still be a good friend and a good player. And I think I did that. I was a good ally. I was loyal. I lied about little things that I had to, but I didn't backstab people when I didn't have to. And when I knew Zach was leaving, when I knew Riley was leaving, even though I wasn't at that vote, like I told people, I was straight up and I was honest. And I feel like I played a game with integrity. Not that Scott didn't, I'm not trashing, but I'm just, for myself, I feel like I played with a lot of integrity and I stayed true to myself. But I still was selfish enough and focused on myself enough to always have a clear path to the end. I, for one, did not plan on always going to the end with Scott and Brian either. I didn't lie to you guys. I did not lie to Isaiah. I did not lie to Zach. I wanted to be with people that I knew would have my back and take things as they came at me and do whatever I had to do at that moment. And I love Scott and Brian so much. That's the alliance that ended up, working out the best for me. It could have gone any other way, but I feel like I was loyal. I played a good game. I was very, very social. I know, Jordan brought up that maybe I come off as a sheep or a floater. In comparison to Isaiah, I don't believe that I did that at all. Me and Isaiah worked closely together and we shared information. I think Isaiah, especially with the Red Wedding, was a lot more like an OTT edgic, and I was more of a, MTR, like middle of the road, whatever. Like his voice was maybe louder than mine and he was maybe a bigger personality in the house, but that doesn't mean I wasn't also doing a lot of things in the house and with my gameplay, socially, strategically, physically. I did not do poorly in challenges. Like I still am mad. Like I was like in that fucking ping pong ball thing. Like I would have won that if we would have just voted Travis out. I would have more wins, but that's besides the point. Love you, Travis. But like no, I didn't fucking copy steamroll like Travis. No, not maybe everyone fucking loves me like Jodely, but I did all of it. I'm a well-rounded player. That's what a winner is somebody that can do it all well and make it to the end. And the person that's too strong in one aspect, those are the people that end up on jury. And you guys are all amazing players. And I think I took all the aspects of what it takes to play a survivor-based Ascendance, whatever theme, I think I took all of those aspects and I honed them and I did them all. And I think I'm the best choice for the winner, period. I'm well-rounded. I didn't backstab. I was good at challenges. That's all. I think I should win, and I hope you guys think so too.
Alrighty, and Scott, you will close it out. You have 7 minutes.
Cool. Thank you. So I came into this game saying the position I was most afraid of finishing was second, which can become a reality tonight. So we will see about that. But I played this game knowing I was going to play bold. I wanted to be social and I wanted to be strategic. I, of course, have some reflections from all this, and I'm getting feedback from you all that I would incorporate if I did venture out to a third org. I do also want to say that I'm hearing a lot of people, I know a lot of people had multiple final twos. I know Corey's saying that they didn't backstab anyone, but they also said they were in multiple final twos with a lot of people. I was just the one making the cuts to Corey's friends first, so they didn't have to make the backstabbing moves. I feel like I was the one taking the road of and kind of controlling the road of where the game was going, so that the people that I was bringing to the end were people that were going to work with me. And honestly, I did write a lot of checks because I thought there'd be a reason to void some. I thought that maybe people would put my name out there first. I thought that maybe people would start strategizing about me and saying we should get rid of Scott because he is a threat. That didn't happen, so I did have to be the one to make the first move. That's not a fun thing for me. I don't know if I look thinner because I lost a lot of weight. I feel like I lost weight last week because I was eating less and having tummy aches. But it was a move, it was just something I had to do for myself this time because last time I didn't do it and I wanted to learn from that mistake. And this is just a game. And I reminded myself, that was my pump up in the mirror, was this is just a game. You need to do what you need to do. I do feel like I've been well positioned since the beginning, and in a game that is flexible and ever changing. I think that's really important. Maybe I overdid that, so I take that feedback. I was always in the know. I knew where all the votes were going, like I said. I knew where all the advantages were. I think that's something that I probably was the most in the know about. And I also feel like I managed my threat level. Hey, Hey, Derek. I also feel like I managed my threat level. It did feel like me and my shaky hands, notoriously shaking hands, was building a house of cards. And I honestly felt like any one thing, if I came across as too confident, if people knew about my different relationships, that everything could blow apart for me. So I feel like I had to do a really good job to protect that in my game. As a recap of my game, I won 3 superhero wins, including 2 that were very important, I think, the last 2 that I just won. There's a reason why I did much better in individual comp or in team comps than individual comps. I knew I didn't want to win a lot of superhero competitions because I would reveal my hand. I did find an idol. I checked the board every single day for an idol, with the exception of Christmas, because I thought that was the one day it would not be posted. I was passed out drunk on the couch. So congratulations, Brian. But I was checking every single day. I put in a lot of work. For the last challenge, I studied my ass off for that. I really was working hard for that. With my idol, I also didn't feel like I ever needed it. The one round I played it was the round I knew that Amanda did have an idol that I thought was probably going to go to Riley, but I was going to be disconnected from my computer, and I was just worried that if she played that, I would be the one to go home. But I never actually felt like I needed an idol in this game. I only got 3 votes against me, 2 that were negated, despite I think having a pretty big influence in a lot of the direction of this game. I voted correctly every single time, besides for Antoinette, where I knew she was still a vote, and I decided to vote out of loyalty on that one. And I honestly do feel like I was never in danger of leaving this game. I never relied on that advantage. I never relied on a challenge win. I never needed one person to go to bat for me to say, we can't get rid of Scott. It was just that I felt pretty insulated in that regard. So I realized that maybe is a game that I overdid it in that regard. I do think it got me here. And I hope that you can understand that why I did that and that I really did make decisions based on what was going to put me in a good position in this game. And what will allow me to still have the agency to navigate this game in a way where I felt like I was carving my position here. So yeah, I hope you all can look back after some of the feelings settle and I get to connect with you on a personal level. And if you vote for me to be the winner, be proud of that. Because I do feel like I embodied the spirit of Ascendance in playing a social game that maybe needs some improvement, but a strategic game and one that I really just put a lot of dedication and time into. I was a lot more prepared for the opening speech, but thank you so much again for everyone for playing this game. You've made this an amazing experience for me.
Alrighty, and with that, the question portion is now complete. The power now shifts to the jury's hands, where they will be voting for a winner. You will be voting for a winner. Do not vote to eliminate someone. I always stress this every season. I don't want a Topaz moment. So with that being said, jury, you now have 3 minutes to cast your vote for a winner. And I will be back with the votes.
Can I go grab another White Claw?
Yeah.
Good luck, you both.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
So Joe,
Alrighty.
I want to give Jodalee shit one more time. You cannot self vote. You're not in the final two.
Totally.
So before we get to the reading of the votes, I would just like to say thank you all, everyone, all 19 of you, for playing this season. Thank you to everyone who applied for this season. Typically coming off an all-star season, it's hard to top that season. This season was one of the best seasons that we have had. So yeah, kudos to all of you. With that being said, we will now get down to the vote. You want to see your vote tonight, or your name tonight, and it takes 4 to win. First vote, Scott. Second vote, Scott. That is 2 votes Scott, 5 votes left. Third vote, Corey. That is 2 votes Scott, 1 vote Corey, 4 votes left. Fourth vote, Scott. That is 3 votes Scott, 1 vote Corey, 3 votes left. Fifth vote. And the winner of Ascendance Heroes Awaken, Scott.
Thank you. Oh, my boyfriend, come here. You can come share with me.
Y'all can come off mute now.
Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
I love you, Corey. Thank you. I love you all.
That was such a hard decision, though. You both did so
Yeah.
well.
No, seriously,
Yeah.
like both of you
It was
had a
hard.
great final tribal. Do we call it a tribal?
Yeah, Corey, you did a good job. Honestly, I was actually really close. Like, your speech was really good.
Yeah, definitely.
Now we drink. Hold on. I didn't want to drink too much because I was worried I was going to get drunk. Yeah, thank you all so much. I really appreciate it.
How do you feel?
I feel happy. I feel a lot of love for Corey, and I also I take the feedback from the jury. So. And I hope you all know it was like, I love you all.
It's just so sad. What if we never see each other again?
Alrighty.
I'm so sorry.
I would just like to say one more time, thank you everyone for playing. Pre-jury, I will send the Zoom link shortly. We'll do a little reunion that will not be live. It will be recorded though. And to everyone watching, applications for season 9 of Ascendance will be dropping relatively soon. So make sure that you apply, tell your friends, your family. Don't tell your family, we have that planned for a different season, but yeah.
Not apply if you're alumni. Stop applying, alumni. We know you love us.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you to Papa and Nicole for doing this org. Y'all are amazing. It was a great org. So